Is robotics cool? Nice. Is robotics boring? Yeah, okay, cool. So, hey guys, so I just wanted to quickly post another video where I briefly explain the build of the Holiday Kit robot. Okay, so essentially everything is connected correctly right now, and you can see the robot is working. So we have motion like this. I push the joystick this way, right? And then we can also, if I push it the other way, we can tilt his head, right? Cool. And then we can do them all at the same time. Yeah, that gets a bit janky. So anyway, so basically, I fully assembled all of your guys' kits, just because, yeah, some of the parts are really tricky to put together, and they weren't fitting perfectly. So you can see I had to put those together. Anyway, so I'm going to quickly take you through the build, okay, so that if you get anything disconnected, that's fine, you can connect it back. So I think you should also watch the video where I explain the code, because then you'll know, okay, which pins are connected to what. So I'm going to quickly unplug it, and I'm going to quickly take you through, oops, I'm going to take you through the build process here. So essentially we have the Arduino, okay, it's flat on the board, okay, and I want to just start off with the most important things. Okay, so what we have over here, these two wires here, okay, if you can see, those are connected to D2 and D3, okay, and that's because we have on the code, if I go up, we have the servos that attach to D2 and D3, okay, so 2 and 3. And so another thing to note about the servos, okay, so here, it's a bit of a mess of wires, but try and see what's going on. So for each servo motor, it looks like this. So we have 3 pins. So this is the servo, right? It comes out. So this is the top one, it's coming out the back here. It has 3 pins like this. So it has brown, red, and orange. Brown is ground, okay? Red is 5 volts, and then orange is the signal, okay? So that means that brown and red are power, okay? So we need to give those power, and then the signal that we actually control is orange. So if you notice from that, so your guys, these wires will be different, but you'll have the servo wire colors will be the same. So if you notice here, I have connected to the brown wire, I have this purple wire here. So if you can see that, so from brown we go to purple, and then from red we go to this white here. Okay, it's actually very, very light gray. So the brown one is this purple, and I want you to notice it goes to negative rail. So if you see, it's that purple one there. It goes to the negative rail, okay, which is ground. And on that negative rail is ground connected via this black wire, which you can see here, that connects to ground, and that's from that black wire there. So it is a bit hard to see. Maybe I'll do a quick connections video coming up. But essentially each servo needs to have power, so it needs to go, the brown wire needs to connect to ground, the red wire, which is this light white, needs to go to 5 volts. And if you're having problems with power, one thing you can do is, instead of connecting it to 5 volts, okay, you can take this wire and you can connect it to V in. So if you guys see over here, there's this pin called V in, okay, it's right there, it's next to ground. So that V in pin can actually supply a bit more power. So if your servos are jamming a bit, you can take the wire that's coming from this positive. So like in this example, here's the other servo motor. So again, you see we got orange as signal, red as power, and brown as ground. So the green one is connected to the red, is connected to the brown, and that's going to ground. This yellow one here connects to the red, which is power, and that's going there. If you can see, that goes straight into V in. It's that yellow one there. Okay, cool. So once you've connected the servos up, right, you will see it does look a little bit complicated here, but essentially all we have is we have two servers. So we've got servers in power and ground, right? And then we've got the LEDs. Okay, so the LEDs come out here. And so one of the pins will be, you'll have to check which one, but one of them will be ground, okay, or maybe two of them. And the ground one needs to go to a blue rail and connect to ground through a resistor. So that's important. We can't put that LEDs on this same ground here because we will fry the LEDs, because these motors, the servo motors, take a lot more power than the LEDs. So we can't, so that's why we need this resistor here. Okay, so we have that resistor going from ground to the blue rail, and then we connect that here with this wire, and that goes to the LED here. And then we just simply connect these two wires to positive, or we can connect them to pins 9 and 11 that we wrote high in the code, but that's your choice. All right, so then if we look at the joystick, okay, so the joystick, if I move it, you can see it has ground, 5V, VRX, VRY, and switch. Okay, we're not using the switch pin for now. So we just got ground. So ground, we got this nice green wire, again, to the blue rail, right? 5V is this yellow one. So again, we just put that to this 5-volt rail. And again, obviously you have to connect the wire. So we have this orange wire. If you see here, this orange wire goes from 5-volt over there to this red rail. So that's how we get 5-volt there. So we got 5-volt and ground on this side. So we just simply connect that joystick there. Then remember, we read the joystick values on 2 analog pins, right? So when we move it, we got to read that. And those pins were A4 and A5. So that's why you can see this red and orange wires here coming out, and they're going there into A4 and A5 pins there. And that pretty much covers it. So it can be a little bit confusing when you just look at it and it's like, oh, well, what's happening there? But it's not too bad once you know what's happening. And essentially, we just have to give power to everything. So like, for instance, just to run through it again, the joystick gets power here. So first things first, power comes from the board to these rails, right? These lines here. It comes from the board to the rails from these wires. So if you look closely, the orange is connected to 5-volt there, and the black wire is connected to ground. So these two wires carry power from the board to these rails. Great. Then we carry that power through these two wires to the joystick, okay, ground and 5-volt. And then we carry that power through these two wires here, so this green one and this yellow one, to this servo, okay? And this servo connects, this is actually the bottom servo, okay? And then the other servo, which we have here, it gets carried through this light gray on the red and this purple full ground, okay? And that gets carried. And you guys, your colors will be different, but as long as you just follow the traces, it should make sense. So we got power on these rails, right? We connect that power to the joystick and the 2 servo motors. And then we also connect that power to the LEDs, okay? And then the LED ground is different because we need a resistor. So that's why on this side we have this resistor, and then we have ground there. And that's pretty much it. So that's all the power connections. And then we simply have 2 connections from each servo, which is the orange wire from each servo. And those go there to D2 and D3, which are servo objects. And then on A4 and A5, which is these 2 wires, we have the joystick input connections. So again, if anything doesn't make sense, you can ask me. But yeah, hopefully that all works out.